Good. Let's see if this
So it's
works.
streaming and we stopped it?
Yeah.
Meeting for the day.
They haven't sent me any hate messages yet, so I'm waiting for it.
Good job, everybody.
Yay.
See you next
Can
month.
all go home?
Yeah, we got an 11-second stream.
I'm still not 100% sure if it's working.
Give it a second.
It's still looking for internet, it looks like.
Okay, so it's showing that we are live, but it's showing that we are the Diversity Advisory Council. So,
Well, you guys gotta agree.
For
Sometimes you gotta pivot, so we're gonna talk about diversity for a minute.
We're gonna.
Of tree
Because, I mean,
species.
There's more diversity on the board.
All right. So I'll say, welcome to the tree board meeting today, right? And we will call us to order. What time is it? 4:32.
132.
Perfect. All righty. So we have not met in a couple months, so I feel like I've not seen y'all in forever and have forgotten what I'm doing, candidly. But we have a lot to discuss today. And Krista's not gonna be here today, but she and I have been having some meetings, between meetings, so she's fully in the know of what's going on today. So did not get the detailed ledger and expense report that Ann did send over to me. So just a quick update, our budget is still at, our available balance is at $5,099.86. And we do have 19, all the money's still encumbered for the brick installation and for Arbor Day. So Arbor Day, just kind of put this number in your head, we have $1,948 allocated still towards that. So, cause that's.
Can you repeat that?
$1,948 is what we have, for Arbor Day. Cause everything else is kind of allocated out, so, okay. Alrighty. And as soon as I get some detailed information, I'll forward that out to y'all, just so you have it. Alright, any updates on funds requests for our workshop, Ryan? I know you had been kind of talking.
Not yet.
Nothing yet,
As
okay,
far as allowing the city employees to attend, that's not a problem.
okay,
So even if we do like 2-hour sessions, I mean, we can do that without funding, so.
okay,
We can do the training, we just don't know if there's gonna be any lunch yet.
any funding, okay, alright. Okay, so some important topics today, which I do wanna make it through, our grant discussion, cause we do have a wonderful opportunity. And then also hit on a couple of things, Arbor Day is gonna be fast approaching, so we'll hit on that today, but I'm gonna request that we have some committee meetings for that. We'll have to have some work time between now and, next meeting and, September into October, so we're prepared for our Arbor Day. So, hopefully y'all have all taken the opportunity to look over some, let me pause. May's meeting minutes, we need to approve those before we move on, so,
Motion to approve.
second.
okay, perfect, and thank you. Any questions, all in favor? Any opposition? Good, good.
Do we have a roll call or do we ever do one?
I did not today, just because everyone is here except for Krista,
Okay.
and she's
I just
exiting.
want to put that out there so that
Thank you.
whenever they're doing it, they know who's not here.
Yes, attended. Krista is here. Hey, Ann, how are you?
I'm finally not super in the red.
That's right.
Like,
Oh, you bounced
Feeling
back?
much better.
No, my
Congratulations.
last missed meeting was last August meeting.
Yeah.
So I think for next one, I could miss like the next 3 in a row. And
Just
it's
don't,
gonna kick me out.
but
It's
don't,
great.
because there's a lot going on now.
Yeah.
Yeah, please don't. Same thing, everyone should be in much better health in terms of attendance, because I think that June, July break kind of gave us a little bit of cushion for that, so we should all be good on that. Thank you, Ryan. Okay, so we do have the Urban and Community Forest Grant opportunity through the Forestry Division, and this is a wonderful opportunity. It is a no-match funding grant, so long as we keep the emphasis in the CGEST areas, Justice 40 areas. That's where all the grant funding is kind of focused right now. And so we've talked about wanting an urban forestry management plan for a long time for the city, and to be able to get the data that we need to continue to help with forward planning, maintenance, and how to properly handle our trees and things like that. So we think this is a good opportunity for that. So I did reach out to, we have been reaching out to 2 different companies, just to get an idea of cost and what the offerings could be. Of course, our initial request was for the entire city management plan scope of work, and now we are limited to 3 tracks, within the city. So I've provided a map for all of you, to take a look at that. It's in your little packet. And they're actually pretty good tracts of land in terms of land cover and different types of needs that we might have throughout the city. And so if you look, it's kind of like the Don Owens area down behind, the more historic areas right through downtown, and then out by Lolly Bottom and McNutt Road, Old Military Road, where we'll see some expansion going on, I'm sure as well. So anything that we do or we request needs to be specific to these 3 areas to be eligible for the no match funding, which is what we want to take advantage of right now. So as we discussed today, really I'd just like to hear from y'all in terms of what priorities you would like to see when we put a request to the consultants. What is important to us to have for the city, what do we want to focus on, and then Robbie Alberson, who is our city grant writer, is going to help us with the narrative and some of the language and things that we need. And so those are the other 2 pieces of paper that I handed out to y'all. And he broke down for us the UNCF application components. And I don't know, Ryan, if you want to kind of help me out with some of that, or if you're prepared, I'm putting you on the spot, and if not, we can just kind of read through this, but what some of the requirements are for the grant, and some of the purposes, objectives, and then on the back of that sheet, Robbie also included the language that came straight from the forestry division. So some of the objectives of the forestry program, and then Arkansas's program goals as well.
Yeah, I think just tying in our objective to their objectives is important.
Yeah.
Showing that there's a need for it. I know that's always important in most grants is why do you need this? Like, why do you need the money to do this? And I mean, and Robbie will do a lot of this and just making sure that we're doing everything that they need for the grant, because if there's one thing wrong with it, they'll kick it out.
Yeah.
So.
So, you know, mission and objectives for us, we know that we need some more data, right? We need to understand our land cover usage, health and wellness portion. So when we look at these CGIST areas, there are different components in how they are eligible to these areas. So it's either underserved, they're hit by climate change, there can be some health conditions. There are all different components. If y'all drill down on that map that was sent to you, it'll tell you why these areas are eligible. And so for a lot of them, it's health and it's income, socioeconomics, right, that we're looking at. And so specific for us, I think where most cities, and we've talked about this, the more lower income areas typically have lower canopy coverage. For us, we have a lot of canopy coverage in those areas, but it is our aging historical canopy. Just today, I drove down the street and saw the police blocking a street of a big branch that fell, you know, no reason, it's perfectly dry day. So we are seeing some of our aging canopy go. And so I think, you know, even a little bit of a risk assessment in those areas would be helpful to know what kind of support these areas will need to maintain and keep those areas safe.
And a lot of our public spaces, our public parks are in that area. If you look on the map, it's got the parks listed out on it. So a lot of the city's parks are in one of those areas.
Yeah. We've got a lot, Pine Street Park, Fifth Avenue, the new Aquatic Center, Conway Station.
MLK.
Yep. Oh yeah, MLK.
City College's Park, Soccer Complex, Don Owens.
Yeah. So, you know, so thinking about what are those areas gonna need, we need assessments in those areas, and also we need to think it forward, right? So if we're losing canopy, how can we get ahead of that so that when it does fall, and they will at some point, what does that replacement canopy look like? So has everyone had a chance to look through their proposals from the Davies Group or Planet Geo to see how it's itemized and what some of the offerings are as far as what they can do for us? And if not, there's a couple of things. So there is, let's see. I did print, so there was like a 37-page proposal that the Davies Group sent to us. I did not print all of that for today just because I could not do that, but I did print, that's the sheet that says investment and it's itemized. It starts with investment, y'all kind of have to share everybody up there. But there, it is itemized on some of the things that they offer for us. And then, and I may flounder a bit, y'all, so if y'all have questions or any direction, feel free to chime in. Let's see. And that, so some of the things that we had talked about needing, oh gosh, back in 2022, I think is when we first started talking about this, is understanding what our canopy is, what the ground cut, or, you know, the land usage is within those areas. And so to go through and do a tree by tree inventory, it's like $4 and $6 per tree. That is not something that we can do or even request. That would be a huge ask. And so more the LiDAR or inventory would be a way that we would want to handle that instead. And so they can do a land cover assessment for us. They can look at metrics. They can help us with priority planting plans, equity analysis. We can get that done as well. Some urban heat island mapping, and I think that is really relevant because, you know, it could be 20 degrees difference in terms of if you have trees, if you don't have trees, and so understanding where some of our problem areas are, especially for people to maintain. I know since the heat has risen so much, we're in those triple digits. It has been the past 3 years we've had to have someone come out and look at our HVAC. It keeps kicking off. They're just not prepared to handle the heat. And so when we think specifically about these lower socioeconomic areas, that's a huge strain on someone's income, right? And their ability to maintain or do repairs or even keep cool. And so, you know, that might not be something bad to ask for. Health analysis of our trees, historical change analysis. These are all things that we can request to be in our scope of work for these consultant groups. And so I just kind of want to hear what's important to y'all to ask for. Because I could pick them all. I'm like, we need all of this.
I mean, yeah.
For every single.
We do kind of need all of this. That's kind of the problem. We just can't afford all of it.
Well, and the good news, and let me back up and kind of to what Ryan said too. So we were a little concerned of, gosh, if we ask for too much, and that which is typical with a grant. If you ask for too much and it doesn't satisfy what they are asking for, it could boot you out. We do have a little bit of grace in that we have a good working relationship with Forestry Division. We're not quite sure how many people have been asking for this grant. And so after our conversation with Chrissy from Forestry Division, she kind of oversees this grant program, they will be in communication with us. So if we were to ask for too much and they say, hey, we can't do this, but X, if you can remove this, we can modify and still try to. So there will be some communication between, so it's not one and done, as I understand that it can be. Anyway, did that make sense?
It did. I have a quick question. So on the application components that you included, that kind of walks through all the different parts that we need to put together, we as in the city and the board assisting. You have the due date being August 30th.
Mm-hmm.
The website says September 30th.
No, so what website? For this year's grant? No, it's August 30th. Unless they have bumped it back since we met.
Or
It's
being
August
accepted
30th.
On the website, it's September
through
30th.
September 30th, 2024.
for
Whenever you
our
click on that,
particular
whenever-
grant?
Whatever
Apples
link
to-
that, you had a link in here,
Yeah,
that whenever you click on it, it takes you to a website where it's like white with green, and it'll say grants. That first
Arkansas
grant,
but for
Urban
the no
and
match funding,
that I'm not sure.
so for, well,
I don't
as
know.
recent
might
as
be-
our last conference call with them, because there are multiple grant offerings right now, so if we want the no match funding, last time we discussed, it
Maybe
was
the
August
IRA
30th.
one is what it is. The September 30th one.
So the one that I'm seeing that says September 30th is applications for urban and community forestry assistance grants and the Arkansas Urban and Community Forest Inflation Reduction Act. Grants are being accepted through September 30th, 2024.
They have changed those dates, because it was August 30th, so.
I'll probably still try to get that out earlier.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the
Earlier is
reason why
better than later.
Stay, because we knew we needed to hit city council meeting by August 20th or 27th. There's a city council meeting where we don't need permission, but as a courtesy, we want to go ahead. I mean, we were already working with the city on it, but as a courtesy, we need to go back to city council before we submit it to say, here is our plan. And so all of our discussions. Yes. So anyway, that's why the 30th was sticking out our head and it was a fast turnaround. So for whatever reason.
It's still a
it is
fast
now.
turnaround.
Yeah, but
But
we're
it
gonna
gives
still
us
stick with
a
August. 'cause we
little
wanna be-
more time to make any needed adjustments.
Let's stick with August 30th, because we then have Arbor Day, like, we have a lot more going
Yeah,
on
that makes
beyond
sense.
that, so I would really like to wrap this earlier, if we can. Cause really, Robbie's gonna help write the grant for us. And everything that we're asking for is aligned with what the forestry division, has kind of laid out for this pass-through grant. We talked to them about, can we do an urban forestry management plan, scope of work? Yes, that is suitable. There are some components that they have in here, like the subscription to their tree plotter programs to get data and keep it in there, and it's a subscription based, and so we are still waiting on whether or not that's something that we can ask for, since it's a subscription. We have to make sure that we can keep the data and the information once that's finished, right? So it's more of like a product. We don't want to subscribe to something and invest in it, and then we're gonna lose all that information. So that part of it is a little bit up for debate, and Krista didn't have an answer back to that part of it yet, so we're still waiting on that. But as far as everything else that we're asking for, it did seem aligned with what they are trying to fund.
I talked to Matt maybe last week or the week before. Some of what they're offering we can do in-house, probably not the tree plotter, but there's some of the technological stuff that he can do through GIS.
Yeah.
So we may want to get with him when this gets down the road a little bit further and see what exactly we need and what we can save on.
Okay. And then,
Cause that's a lot of the hefty cost coming out of the Davies group, so they're listing out land cover assessment, including historic land cover at $25,000. Planet like a lot of that we can do in-house.
Yeah.
Planet Geo is offering tree planter canopy data, canopy cover, automatically receive updated data from National Agricultural Image Program, some land cover metrics.
And we can't do that because we don't take our pictures in the summer.
Right.
We do ours in the winter so that there's no trees, so you can see what's below.
On the floor, yeah.
Yeah.
And so from like just off the jump, from a GIS and tech standpoint, I think Planet Geo is offering more that we can't get ourselves and for a much better price if it's something that we're permitted to receive and allows us to retain the data associated with it.
when they both have that program, I think they're just kind of patented to their own names, right? So they both have the similar products, but you're right, Planet Geo is a much more affordable. They're a smaller startup company. And Davies, yeah, is a bigger company. And so, okay.
I also appreciate how Planet Geo, they're like, yeah, we use tree planner, canopy data and software, but it enumerates what is included in that quote unquote package on page 9 out of 10 for Planet Geo, if you're looking for that one.
No, I'll just look at, I don't know.
And then on page 22 of 37 of the Davies group, it just says tree keeper software and then says fees associated with it, right? So like it doesn't necessarily explain why we would want that or the benefits to it, at least in that
That's
portion.
back on like 11, page 10 and 11 and 12 on their software information. Let's see. Cause I think they were,
So that's gonna be where they put all of the information that their arborists gather when they do in-person $6 per tree assessments.
well,
That-
they also can do, if you look at the Greeley, Colorado, so that is not the only offering that they have. So they could, both companies can do tree by tree inventories,
Yeah.
or they can do like that drive-by, what is it? Let's see, the one that's the scope of work and project components is from Greeley, Colorado, and they had a breakdown, and I'm sorry, let me see. Cause they can do some imaging as well, land cover accuracy, Looking for the word. Where they do kind of GIS surveying as well. So we don't have to just do the tree inventory, either company, we can't do that for either company. So
No,
we
I
have to do-
agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was saying that it seems that for Davies, the tree keeper software is simply where they put the information from the individual tree inventory. And then for Planet Geo, their software package that they're offering has a lot of different components that would be really useful to us, I think. And it sounds like it includes components that the city doesn't currently have access to or doesn't currently use, specifically that imagery package. And so their software comes with a lot of data that would be very useful for us from a GIS standpoint, whereas Davies Group's software package is just their version of Excel that they keep the inventory data in.
Yeah, I don't think that's correct. But I don't wanna get stuck in the weeds on either of those, cause we can even get subscription for either of those. And what we're doing, and clarify with me now, we're not committing to any one group today. What we need to come up with is what scope of work we would like to have, because the next steps, like we're gonna make the request and then it'll go out for request for quote, correct? And then we're gonna have companies who say, now we wanna do work with the city of Conway. I just did a little pre-work to find out what are the offerings from two companies to get an idea of what we should be asking for and then a relative cost. Does that make sense? Is that correct? Am I?
I'm sorry, I wasn't.
So I guess we need to know, like
It
what,
sounds correct to me.
out of all this
Thank
out of all this stuff, what can the city do and what can they not do is, I guess, the basic question here.
What we
So
need
we
to
need-
find out today is what do we want as a tree board to ask for, right? So we're gonna ask for that. So if we wanna ask for if we want a software program that says, hey, we have the data that we need, right? Specific to some of the things that you were saying that we would like to have, that would be in our ask. And we can give a range of cost, right? And I would say, let's pick the higher cost, right? Cause if for whatever reason Davies or there's another company, Bartlett, there's several who may show
They're
interest.
never gonna go down in price, they're
Right,
always gonna
are gonna go up, and so that's, I'm like, I don't wanna get stuck in the minutia of like exactly which software. We know, we can pick and choose what we do want ultimately, you know,
Yes.
which company is gonna fit the bill. We just need to figure out what we want and assign.
I have a question.
Yeah.
About the software. Can you ask for an extended period of time to be covered by the grant? So could we ask for 10 years of software costs in the grant? Or could we only ask for a year or?
Well, I think that's what Krista was gonna go back and get clarification on, like, will it even pay for a subscription, or do we need to purchase a tech product that would, you see what I'm saying, instead
Yeah,
of
I didn't
having
know if,
them
like,
monitor it, or,
If we could just purchase like 10 years straight up front,
Yeah.
not really a subscription, just like we wanna buy 10 years worth.
right,
And then after that, figure it out or do whatever.
right, and that's what she's getting clarification on, that, and then also, I think there was a question of, do we get to keep that data when the subscription ends? And the answer has to be yes, which it is. If you look at some of that, like the Greeley, Colorado, it says in there, like, they get to keep their information, so I would assume that it's gonna be the same case for all of their, inventory and subscriptions. So,
To answer in part, potentially, your question, the Planet Geo, quote or proposal here, for their tree plotter canopy data and software, they have a 1-year fee or a 3-year, and so from that verbiage, it sounds like we would be able to just say, we're opting for the 3-year flat fee of the X amount. But that does not answer whether financially the city would approve for something like that.
Yeah.
well, and I'm sure there's a way that we can get it where it's a tech product instead of subscription, you know? If we
I
had
would
to
think
purchase
so.
something outright instead of being able to do that, and so I'm getting caught up here, cause I gave it all the Planet Geos. So, yeah, definitely, if we can have the rights to that subscription, that program, that would be definitely something we would ask for. What else are some priorities for y'all?
I really liked, in looking through Planet Geo, I did absolutely, very much like their canopy data and software. I didn't like their inventory software. I don't think that we financially can afford to have each individual tree inventoried, and so I don't think it makes sense to have an inventory software. I think it makes more sense to have GIS pertinent data. And in this case, the canopy data comes with tree plotter canopy software. So I think data/software packages that give us more GIS information than what the city currently has, is great. If it's just a software that houses information about individual trees within the city, I don't think that that is something we want.
Yeah. And then in that too, there's funding for like training and development, I think, of staff, so if Matt, whomever, pick a few people would
Nice.
be able to get training for that as well,
Nice.
so, yeah.
Continuing to look into the Planet Geo, management planning services that they're offering. I think their maintenance plan would be great, ordinance development would be huge. I think it'd be beneficial to have a planting strategy, canopy goals, and planting priorities. I don't think we need help with any of the meetings, in-person public, or virtual.
I disagree.
Okay.
Sorry. I mean,
Yeah, no.
I would like to request, if this is a time to get funding, to have community meetings, because they will help facilitate, lead, get information about what are priorities for the residents, and then also with our city stakeholders. So they will kind of do the footwork for all of that and lead the community. And that is really where you get a ton of information. That's my personal opinion, and like that's kind of a normal process too. So whether it's through the arts board or we're doing Lake Conway, right? You see all these big community meetings. We want to have involvement I would prefer that we have involvement of the city
It's more
and
transparent.
stakeholders and the community members.
And it also
Right.
provides a buffer of them being involved, the company, so that if there's pushback about something, it's not just the city pushing this on to people. It's,
Right,
it's everybody's working on it.
yeah.
That, and as chair, you're the one that's doing the organizing. I'm not, so it's easy for me to be like, yeah, we don't need that.
Well, and that's on a
Tracy's
much
got
larger
it.
scale. Not, well, and I'm not gonna be here next year, so it will fall to one
Yeah,
of
no, we
you.
need that. Let's
So
do
in
that.
just a few months, one of you will have to take over the role of that, and so, yeah.
And so I think that's a ton of amazing services and resources that we would be potentially receiving if it's coming from Planet Geo and including the 3-year canopy data and software, not including inventory software or individual tree inventory. We're looking at 33K.
Yeah.
From Planet Geo,
Yes.
which I mean goes.
But you're gonna wanna bump that up, because this isn't like.
I mean, yeah, we'll ask
Purposely
for say
picking
50K.
Right.
What's the grant max? Do you remember?
I think it was 150,000, was it like 150,000?
Maybe 75 then, continue to go a little more north.
Well, and again, if we had the concern of like asking for too much and they're gonna shoot out our grant request, but
Okay.
we have had conversations that that's not gonna be the case, they're
And when it gets finally actually bid out,
Yeah.
you don't know what their people are gonna come back with.
right.
I ain't even gonna lie, I don't know what half this stuff is, I don't even know what a third of it is.
Okay.
So realistically, I think if you're trying to go for priority, I would go for whatever is the most actual realistic and helpful to people that live here.
Mhm.
So like, I don't know if the historical thing is better than having your land cover assessment, no idea. Obviously I am younger, so any kind of software I think would be more beneficial, but if that is not really an option, then I truly do not know.
Well, and the software and the data, I'm sorry, Scott.
You go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, in terms of funding and forward thinking in terms of funding, to be able to have data to then turn around and put it into a funds request is gonna be a requirement, I think, as we go forward. And so, and that's been the major holdback and stall for us as a board, is we don't know what we own necessarily or what we need. So, the data is super important and a place to house it so that they have access to it for ongoing funds requests. And I think that's why the subscription and some of the inventory softwares are gonna be so important for us as well.
I get that, it's just like, if you're trying to go through a priority, I have no idea which one you
Oh,
would put
sure.
on there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure that everyone in here could go through and make an argument why each one of these is better than the other one.
Right.
So like, I generally have no idea.
Yeah, like I'd love to see like the tree health analysis, but again, that's might be going tree by tree, which is something we cannot afford.
Yeah.
And that's one of those, like, what does that actually,
What does that actually mean?
yes, exactly, that's where I come in, like, as a commoner person who likes being outside, like, this right here is so out of like
Yeah.
an everyday person's wheelhouse, that like.
That's why I'm trusting
if
you on this,
someone-
because you know what you're talking about on
If
this
someone was
stuff.
in here that was more expert in this, like, you could sell me on whatever on this, like, I
Yeah.
have no clue.
I am more than happy to help translate what each individual thing is or what they be doing. And I'll try to be pretty impartial and not say, I think it's great or I think it's useless. Just like say what it is so that we can kind of go through it to say whether or not we want that component in our scope of work.
And then Scott, what were you gonna say too?
I just was gonna say that I think it'd be really valuable to have the tree canopy assessment. I think the LiDAR would be very helpful,
Yes, and that's something I think.
because that will help you with your tree health. Then I'm almost positive that information can be put into a shapefile that could be uploaded into our existing city GIS. I mean, I don't
I
know
would
about,
think so.
I don't know about the need for additional I don't know what this, I hadn't looked at it deeply enough yet to know what the software will actually do. But a lot of that information can be put in the attribute data inside of a GIS and then you have it, it might be historical, but it gives you something to start with, and then the folks in the city planning could.
Tracy, if you wanna come by this week or next or whenever you have time, we can sit down with Matt again and see what he thinks is feasible for the city to do and maintain, and what he thinks we need to, cause I mean, that's
So are
technically.
you trying to itemize everything in your urban tree canopy assessment, or is that like a, hey, you would get task 3, this is everything that comes with it? Does that make sense
Say
what I'm
that one more
asking?
time now.
So like right
The,
here,
the
like,
Davy one.
whenever you're looking at this for a second, are you trying to prioritize this via like itemized? Or is this like, hey, out of all of these, we would pick task 3, which would encompass all of this? Or are you trying to say like, what out of this are you trying to prioritize?
Right, is there a priority for you per, like, what is a
Within
priority
task
for you within
3.
task 3 that you
Okay,
would
I
like
see.
to see us
That's where like
request, right?
I couldn't tell you.
So
Some of this stuff is gonna be,
urban heat mapping is not something I don't think we'd have to pay for. That's something the National Weather Service might be able to give us.
well, you can tell that just based on the canopy cover assessment,
Yeah.
because if there's no trees there,
It's
it's
gonna be hot.
definitely gonna be hot.
And
Especially if there's more asphalt and concrete.
something I point out, because I'm a weather geek, all the time, the official temperature that you see is taken 6 feet off the ground in shade above grass. So anything, if you're not in shade above grass, it's gonna be hotter automatically than whatever the official temperature is. But, so what is but my question, like, we're talking about maybe this downtown area, the historic district, would the tree health analysis be something useful that we could,
I think
I think,
so.
Yeah.
yes,
cause we
Cause
wanna
that's where our
know,
older canopy is.
we wanna know which ones we need to replace right away, which ones we can wait, and we need to start planting, that's something I've been trying to say, like, we need to start planting trees downtown in the historic area now.
Cause really the only trees that people call us about, the city about, are trees downtown.
downtown.
Yeah,
Because they're old and they're worried they're gonna fall on their house or
Right.
they don't know the health of their trees.
When y'all are saying tree health assessment, where are you looking for
okay,
that?
so this would be from the Davy
Relative
group.
tree health
Tree
analysis,
health
now I see what you're
analysis,
saying,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
I would say that'd be priority 1 then.
You can do that through LiDAR.
so that can be done through LiDAR, okay.
Yeah. And we've agreed, LiDAR is gonna have to be the way to go, because we can't do individual tree.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's no way we can afford for an arborist to go to every single tree downtown and be like, this one's healthy, this one's not, this one must be cut in half, this one has to be, whatever.
I would imagine the bulk of the cost for Planet Geo, and I know we're not picking like individual ones right now.
Right.
A bulk of that cost is the fact that you're buying the updated data, which is imagery from National Agriculture Imagery Program. They're the ones that are doing the refining the, is this species of tree, or is this a species of tree, is this a healthy tree, is this grass, just from the imagery.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
And depending on how much you're willing to pay will be how finite that photo is.
right. And I think some of species analysis, right, so we know we may have invasive species that are coming in, so having some species information would be helpful to us. I can't say that that's priority number 1 for me, but I think that is also, if we're gonna ask.
I mean, it's a priority because it's
Yeah.
a safety issue a lot of times, or it chokes out what we want.
Okay. And then not even,
Anywhere you see a Bradford pear.
Yeah, that's a safety issue.
I would still love
right,
to
well, I
see.
think about the ash trees, right, like I have a gigantic ash tree. and they're
Do
coming.
you know if City of Conway can currently do land cover assessment?
I don't think so.
Okay.
And this too, so this is our moment to go big. I mean, it's not
I'll
often
put
you get a
anything that you want
no-match
into
grant,
this
right?
now.
And then, and positions change, right? Staffing changes, boards changes, and where we think like we can do this today, I am more concerned about protecting the future no matter who's enrolled and no matter what capability we have. Like if we have the time or the means to purchase these tools, now's the time to kind of do that, so. And then that historic land cover, like historical change over time, right, is part of what we're talking about. Like, what did the land look like 10 years ago? Where are we now? And then that will help with future planning, correct?
Yeah, we can see how much tree cover loss we've had
Mhm.
in certain areas or tree cover gain in other areas, but hey, it's all bamboo and Bradford pear, so
Right.
it's actually a negative, right?
Or kudzu.
Or kudzu, yeah. And so, yeah, the land cover assessment would say, you know, this is what you have on the ground using imagery. Land cover metrics would delve more into it, potentially could even include health of your trees. Ecosystem services, what those trees in those areas are doing for the environment they're in, priority planting plan and tree placement model. Hey, you should plant this stuff here.
See, I like that one too,
So
yeah.
planting priorities.
Yeah, the one with the priorities and the tree placement model, I like that idea too.
Yeah.
Cause it'll say like, plant this tree and do it here.
Yeah.
Which is very nice. Although, I mean, I guess that's something the extension service or forestry could do too, but why not
We're gonna ask.
ask for it
and then
and spare them, you know?
they talk about the socioeconomic inequity analysis, so they're looking at your entire area footprint and doing an analysis of areas of lower income and cross-comparing that to tree cover to see if we have a economic disparity in canopy cover. For our area, urban heat island mapping is an assessment of how hot are certain areas of the city because it's nothing but asphalt and pavement and we don't have trees.
So are y'all saying you do or don't want the urban heat mapping? I would say
I don't
request
think
it,
we,
but
I mean, it's worth requesting, but it's something we can get from other data, but I mean, go big. Go big or go home, right? Request everything we want.
I'm not gonna lie, if you added up everything that has a price on this investment sheet and then even added another 5K for the community meetings, you're right at 65,000. So even if you ask for 75,000, that would get you everything here. And that's kind of going off of if there is already available software that the city has with the GIS and you take in this data. If the data is the most important thing, then this would be your priority.
Yeah.
I would go with almost everything that you can get out of your urban tree canopy assessment.
I'm like, well, I'm hoping we have this one.
And then I would go with the community meetings, because I mean, the community meetings is where like someone like me is gonna come in, as someone who doesn't know what all this stuff is. The community meetings benefits me personally more than it may you know what I mean?
Right.
So, and I mean, if it's enough, I would just shoot for all of this. And then if you're able to get more money based on like your kind of behind closed doors conversations, then see if you can get the software. But if not, then I would shoot for everything in your urban tree canopy. Now, you may have to go through and figure out what, if they're like, hey, we're not gonna do 65,000, okay, then what can you really choose to like kind of scratch off?
Yeah, what would the city and Conway Corp like to see?
That's what I'm asking.
If you even know.
We can ask this stuff, but
No, I fully agree.
I think the software package is still a good idea too, though.
In this particular bid or proposal, I personally think that software package is useless.
No, I mean, but you were talking about the one from Planet Geo.
Yes.
That would be, I mean, we're not saying we have to take it all from one company.
Yes. But that's why I was like, if it's a
the
software
data, yeah.
package that has data associated with it and analysis associated with it that Conway doesn't originally have, I think it's hugely valuable. If it is similar to Davies, in which it is their repository for individual tree inventory that I think we've all agreed on we can't afford anyways,
Yeah.
then no.
Oh, which we would love. But yeah.
And yeah, no, I definitely
That's what I was
agree.
shooting for.
I think task 3, tree canopy assessment, whole thing.
And since I've been here, that's been like the biggest thing that's been talked about is the phrase tree canopy.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think if you're able to secure that, because even if this is, and like, from what she's saying, Davy's not even the cheapest one. And so if everything added up in here is about 65,000, then if you're asking for 75,000, that gets you a little bit of leadway, especially if something today is gonna be a little bit more expensive tomorrow. And then that way, if you're in the middle of the road, because then you may be able to go through someone like Planet Geo where it's gonna be cheaper, and you might be able to get a little bit more out of that if you're asking for 75.
And these are based on when we asked for the full city planning too, so the cost is not gonna be as much for just the 3 tracks, cause remember we have to stick to just those 3
So we can't do
tracks.
all 3 of those, we don't have to just pick one of those, we can do all
No, we
3?
can do all 3.
Oh, perfect, I was thinking we had to pick one, I'm like, no, I wanna pick the downtown one, okay,
No,
no,
we can
perfect,
do
let's do all of
Same
them.
thing.
Yeah, those are the only ones that are eligible for no match funding.
Cool, I mean, that's great.
If we had match funding, we could get the whole
No, the
city.
question
That's a
is
huge
that-
area,
so
that's like, what, like
everything
a
on
third of the
this-
city?
Yeah,
Is that for everything that's in this
He's got
yellow?
some stuff,
all
but I
the
don't know
yellow
what he's
tracks,
got.
Oh, then yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, then shoot
And
for
it
that.
won't be as much,
Cause in
so
worst
again,
case scenario,
because that
then you
was-
just have to
He's
pick
got a
some
pretty
spots that you
extensive
think,
GIS.
I mean, I would think that the
but I
middle
don't
here
know what-
is gonna
I
be
don't know what all he's
priority,
got.
since that's gonna be your oldest. So even if this is the most
I'll work
expensive
on
option
the
with
project with
everything
him.
that's highlighted here, even if you have to start dwindling down, okay, what if we took away this side of the map? What if we took away this side of the map, and then you focus more on a priority section of
Do
the
you
map,
have any
which would be
idea
your
what kind
downtown
of
area.
imagery he's
You'd
got
still be
his
fine.
hands on?
No, that's what I was asking,
Cause like, I can see where some of this is more beneficial to
I mean,
companies
ideally you
and the city
need
itself,
leaf
and some of this may be more
on LiDAR
beneficial to people who
to be
are
able
looking
to
to buy
run
here
these
or rent here or
analyses,
something like that.
particularly if
That's
you're
what I'm
wanting
saying,
to
like,
know
I don't
health
know,
of
you can make
trees
an
and
argument, I'm sure,
species.
for every single line item on here of why
Canton
it's
Ford's
good.
got the LiDAR,
So it's hard to really, for me
I
at
have the
least, to
LiDAR,
tell you.
but I don't know that
Cause then I
it's
have to go by like
at a
my,
level
I'm not a
that we could
business,
use
like,
it.
I don't care if
Yeah.
that stuff affects.
No, I mean, when I
builders
worked at
necessarily.
Camp Robinson, we were
Well,
exploring
and I think
rotten
too, even
because
in
we gotta
ordinance
choose
review,
when we
it's
flew it,
important.
they flew it on site,
Yeah, especially
and it was
because
like
that'll come in
100
handy
feet
if,
above where they were
Tree City
flying,
SA
so, I
goes
mean,
through with
it
their whole
was
little ordinance.
pretty awesome.
centimeter accuracy,
Yeah.
insane.
Now, that also is a big old chunk though.
But again, I don't, yeah. An ordinance review through them.
Yes, in urban forest planning, I think it'd be beneficial
I
to
can
do.
review the ordinances or not.
Well, I will like
they help us
there's
write
a lot. Like when you just type in tree,
Yeah.
like I don't even know how to find all of the ordinances that impact our tree canopy. I've typed them in before and searched and it pulls up.
Can you do it cheaper than
Quite a few.
16
I
grand?
do right now. There's like, no, there's design guidelines as far as what, we don't have an ordinance for like tree preservation.
Right.
We have an ordinance that each single family home needs to have a tree now when you build it. We have guidelines for what commercial developments need to plant as far as trees, street trees, perimeter trees, landscaping islands, all of that. We don't have, in the historic district, which is what this is, we do have a tree list that people have to follow.
Right.
In the city as a whole, we have a tree list of recommendations. We don't have a list that has to be followed, so that's pretty much all we have as far as that goes.
Yeah, and is that, I mean, won't they help us with like, what are the trends going forward? Like, here's an ordinance review and here's kind of where we're headed in terms of
I mean,
our
I think
city
the big
should
one
be
is
if we're
that
thinking about protecting our canopy and or replanting.
a tree preservation
Yeah.
ordinance would be good.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a while before there's an appetite for that.
I'm not concerned with that. I think we all should be, yeah.
I drove by down Bruce Street and they've cut down the 3 trees in front of Thompson Hall at UCA on Bruce Street. And I'm like, I don't know why, they looked fine. Maybe they're doing some development, but I was like, man, I wish they hadn't.
On campus?
Yeah. On Bruce Street.
UCA,
Can't stop that.
Oh no, I know, but I'm like, man.
every single one of their on-campus trees inventoried, inspected, and insured. And they fairly regularly have arborists check them, and so it's either it's in the way of construction or
Yeah.
it's a liability in their insurance.
I'm assuming it's
company told
construction because
to
from the
chop
chunks
down.
that were cut off, they looked healthy to me, but I'm no arborist, so.
No.
But yeah, I mean, something like a tree preservation ordinance would be nice.
I mean, we can
Or like an ordinance,
pay for their opinion.
an
I don't
ordinance
know
that
what-
says like, hey, you can't plant, invasive species, you can't plant Bradford trees, you can't plant these banned species. Would also be cool, but again, you know, when's the appetite here?
My assumption for an ordinance review is would be them going through the United States and researching similar ordinances to help us better craft
Yeah,
ordinances.
it would be good information to have.
And so I think that would be a huge benefit. I think that's one of the things that
I mean,
I don't think we have time for.
Let's add it on there.
Worth asking for,
Yeah.
Doesn't
absolutely.
mean we're gonna change our ordinances, they're just gonna give us
Right,
recommendations.
so when we do get to
Yes.
the point where we're
Yeah.
like, let's
Like,
try
what
to
do other
this.
cities of this size do if they want to do a Bradford pear bounty program where
Right.
they will pay you to cut down the tree and plant something else, you know, or
Particularly if we're combining it with them giving us a ton of information on land cover analysis and species health and diversity, and we can see what we're lacking, future planning, and then also an ordinance review to be able to better support the city to have a direction to move forward both legally and practically for a management plan. I think it'd be a
Yeah.
huge benefit, and I think that the community meetings and stakeholder interviews would both be a huge benefit.
Yeah.
And so if you add the 5K from community meetings, 7K from stakeholder interviews, to the
Like the 65 with the community meetings added in there already, so everything else is about 60.
so we're getting closer
and
to
then
75, 80.
with the stakeholder interviews, you're
What was the
looking
max
at
there?
73.
150.
So
And again, this is for full city, not 3 tracks, I'm sorry.
community meetings, stakeholder interviews will bring you up to 73. And then add on 40 for ordinance review, and we're at
Maximum.
113.
40 maximum, because it could be anywhere from 16 to 40.
Correct.
Yeah,
And again, we're not doing the whole city, we're doing, you said those are average
Right.
estimates for the whole city and not just for these 3 tracks, so yeah.
yeah,
Probably
sure.
closer to
always-
20, 30.
I'm the type of person that
No,
I
right.
expect the full price and then hope
Yeah.
for the low price. But
I
I
mean,
think
still, that keeps us below 150.
the ordinance review would be really, really beneficial. I don't think that a tree list review is necessary. We have Krista and Scott and other people with bigger brains than me that can do that, right? I don't know necessarily what the benefit of a background review would be. I don't necessarily think that the urban forest planning, that first line item is within our budget or necessarily, I think purchasing the other deliverables, we would be able to generate that in-house. I don't think we additionally need them to generate it for us.
So the urban forest planning, let me ask you, because we don't have an urban forester in the city.
Mhm.
And although we have Krista has
Is volunteer.
so many jobs.
Yeah.
Right, and she's not funded, she is funded in part by the city, state, and federal, I believe, and so.
For her contract hours, but this is
Right.
volunteer work.
And so, right, well, and she's already stretched super thin, and whether it's Krista, the person, or anyone who's in that role, right, they're gonna be continually stretched and stretched and stretched, and so, and I'm just thinking about urban forest planning, would that be a benefit in lieu of, you know, having an urban forester right now and help with some of that workload, or?
I would think so. If you guys know any
I can
urban
see.
foresters, there's a job in Fayetteville open right now, by the way.
Oh,
Just giving you a heads up, came out
Yeah.
today.
Oh, okay.
So their hourly rates are, yeah, it would just depend on the time.
I would say your priorities
like-
would be your urban tree canopy assessment. And then for me personally, I would vote for the community meetings and then your ordinance review. And then anything that you can squeeze in after that would probably be a bonus.
Okay. And I know just, yeah, I think in terms of pricing, like all of this is doable, right? So even with Planet Geo, if you look at the full city scope of work, it's about 60 to 80,000 full program, right? So I
Ask for all of
And we're
it.
doing like
Yeah.
a third of the city,
That's half
basically.
of, that's half of the max.
Right.
Yeah.
And so same thing, even though Davies is highly, a little more expensive,
even if we
and
don't-
again,
Really use it right now, I mean, just see if we can get it.
yeah.
It's free money.
Go big or go home. Ask
Got me through grad school. I just
Okay.
kept asking different people for money and no one said no.
Great, see?
Any other discussion? So basically we wanna ask for it all?
I mean,
I mean, and if it's
within reason, yes.
Yeah.
Within reason, yes, we wanna ask for everything.
Especially if you have like a way to talk to them before you actually submit it and kind of get a vibe for like,
Yeah.
hey,
And
for real, like,
it sounds
are,
like we're gonna have that.
are you gonna actually
So-
give me $150,000 or are you telling me that I really need to, like, how much fat are you gonna be able to tell me I need to trim?
Yeah,
And I think we'll have that opportunity.
Yeah.
So,
Then yeah, I don't,
Sounds like task 3, urban tree canopy assessment,
Oh,
whole thing is top priority.
yeah,
The components within urban forest planning of, stakeholder interviews, ordinance review, community meetings, second priority.
Yep.
Urban forest plan,
that'd be third.
third,
Yeah.
second, third.
it's right up, yeah.
And then the wish list is tree inventory,
Oh, yeah,
but we're not gonna have money for that after everything else.
I mean,
an actual.
if you did 15,000 trees at 640 a
Right.
tree, you're at $96,000. And that's not even
That's
including the
gonna
person that you're
Yeah.
paying to go out there and actually do that, so.
yeah.
If Conway Corp wants to shell out
Yeah,
$200,000.
that's a wish list, that's a wish list item, if we could get it, but
And
no.
then so
I can already see Logan like,
software
no, I'm not even gonna
think how
ask.
helpful it really is.
It would actually be really helpful.
Data
for
is a
Conway Corp.
priority.
Yeah.
And along with task 3, urban tree canopy,
Yeah. Data's the important thing.
And sometimes that's tied with software like it is with Planet Geo, sometimes it's not, but it's
So yeah,
that
software
data that
package
we
is part
care
of
about.
the priority, software package might be a thing.
Depending on the company, yeah.
Okay, all right. So Ryan, do you think for today, is there anything else as far as forums, Robbie, anything? We just need to get together again.
Yeah.
Okay. And so just so y'all know, I do wanna stick to that, which really, that September 30th would be a surprise. So, but we're still
But we
gonna
wanna
stick
try to have
with
it
try to
ready
get it
in
to
time.
council
Yeah.
on the 27th and then get that in, right?
We can talk to Robbie, I mean, you never know what pops up that
Right.
you may need an extra week or something, so
Right.
we'll work that out.
Okay,
Try to have some proposal ready for the meeting on the 27th in city council and then work the details out.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
and there was, I saw somewhere, there's like iHydro that looked at the function of the trees and water, there's one of them.
I would do that.
Oh,
The
yeah.
iHydro,
That would be,
Anything that has to do with flooding or
in this area that we're asking
runoff.
for, that would be
huge.
very.
Yeah,
Do you remember
That might
what
take
you're
your second
saying that?
priority, to be honest with you.
Cause they could have meant a few different things with that,
Okay,
they
let's
could
see.
also mean the
Alright.
hydration of the plant.
so this is this is in the Greeley, so Greeley, Colorado is a city, and this was one of the Davies, proposals. So we got from Planet Geo, they sent Whitehall, Ohio, which is similar, size, demographic needs, all of that. So Planet Geo sent an example of that, and then Davies also sent an example of this Greeley, Colorado, same thing, similar city needs, things like that. So on page 4 and 5 of that one, it has,
That would be good.
air quality, has tree canopy, they can analyze the amount of pollution removed. So there's several things, if you look at the next, it says tree hydro can be used to capture stormwater interception. Per tree values can be used to extrapolate information from public tree data to include private trees for an estimate of benefits for that, and so I think
that could be a
water
huge thing
would
that we
be
would want.
good for us.
Stormwater, yeah.
Yeah, stormwater absorption, drainage, I would put that up in like level 2 priority, if we can get that too.
If their data is based off of LiDAR imagery,
Yeah,
which is what I'm trying to see, cause if it's based on they're in the field doing individual analysis, then it's not a product that we can afford.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's out of our league.
And we could pick and choose certain areas, right? If there is one area that's more of an emphasis or more of a risk, I guess.
I mean, that's
That would be
pretty much
something
the
we
whole
could
historic
go back.
district in
Yeah,
Pine
we know.
Street area and everything that floods downtown,
Yeah,
but
okay. Let me see. Okay. All right. Any other questions, discussions on that? I will go sleep and then organize these thoughts and then get them, meet with you guys. Okay, moving on then, thank y'all for that. Do we need to vote on that? Do we need to do anything like that? Okay, we agree, yay, let's ask for that. Okay, so some other things that we have coming up. Arbor Day is gonna be our next event. And I'm kinda, excuse me, I put in there a quote for you guys from Bemis. We wanted to give away trees this year. Remember, we voted in $2,000 to give away all of the trees. And we asked for some specifics on that. And so the trees this year are gonna be $20 a piece, and so we still will be at 100 trees. But we can get, it's this one, put us at $21.50, but we can get all of the species that we asked for. So pecan, mulberry, ginkgo, willow, oak, persimmon, and maple. We took what was requested mostly at the Master Gardener sale. We had lots of people ask for specific trees there. And then some of the more popular ones that we've given away in the spring. So if y'all are good with that, then I will confirm that quote from Bemis for our fall tree giveaway.
So
It's
that's gonna be
unfortunate they're
I'm
so
sorry.
expensive.
Say one more time.
It's unfortunate they're so expensive per tree.
Yeah.
So we're talking about a 2150 estimate and not the 1505 estimate,
No,
right?
so if you'll see, so the 1505, that's for the fruit tree grant.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry,
we've
got
a
it.
couple- I got quotes for all three, and then Oak Grove Cemetery reached out to us for some assistance with getting some information about
tree
trees
thing.
that
Okay,
they
yeah.
need to, but I don't think I gave that one to y'all.
So we would need to pull another 150 from the Arbor Day budget of 1948 to,
Yes.
I'm fine with that.
Would that be pulling out of our,
Or we can pull it out of our M and O. We've not really used any of our M and O budget. We had $1,000 set aside for that as well. And so then we've got that extra 150. But either way, I mean, the rest of the money will go, usually we vote it all back in for Arbor Day anyway, so we could pull it from either one, the Arbor Day fund or M and O, whichever way y'all would like to do it. I would say let's go ahead and just pull it from,
my brain was
Whichever you want.
sticking and wanting to call it M&M, and I'm like, it's not an M&M kind.
Let's pull it from M&O for now and
Yeah, let's get the trees.
let's get the trees.
all right, you wanna make a motion for,
So we pull the extra 150 from M&O.
mhm,
That's the motion, and then approve the purchase of the trees as listed here.
perfect.
Second.
Yep.
And any opposed?
All in favor?
Alright, well, good.
Get them
Okay.
trees.
Good deal, getting the trees, yay, trees. All right, so, okay, so that is done, fantastic. So for Arbor Day, I know we're gonna do pretty much the same rollout as last year. And so, specific to the tree giveaway, I know we can get volunteers for it, but I am gonna need someone to oversee that portion of the day. So if anyone would like to volunteer for that role, because for Arbor Day, we're gonna need someone to assist with all of the photo contest again. We will need, the fall tree giveaway, need some support for that. Entertainment, you know, the drums were such a big success. I don't know if y'all wanna move forward with that or if we would like to go back to having a live entertainer.
Let's see if Kings can get us a live entertainer and sponsor that. And if not, the drum thing was really great too.
Either,
From
I
Art
think
Walk.
that it was more interactive actually with the drums.
Oh, it's more interactive, definitely, for sure.
The guy before, even though it was fantastic, everybody had their backs turned to him. You know, the bleachers were empty and there was no one there, you know, and so that's my concern. It was wonderful entertainment and music, but no one really sat for it,
Yeah.
you know? Is my concern with that, but, a sponsorship to pay for it,
I mean, we could get Kings to sponsor the drum
yeah,
circle
they did last year.
guy too. Yeah, see, that would be great too.
Yeah. So I'm gonna back up for a second. Would anyone like to volunteer to handle the tree giveaway?
What do you need?
Yeah, what?
Organizing, labeling, getting names, cause last year, different, we handled the fall tree giveaway differently than we did in spring. So they had to pre-register for them, they had to sign up for them, and then, so Amy and them were very organized. They had tree labels set up, so we had the trees delivered, unloaded, and tagged for all the folks when they got there, so they just had to come up, sign for their tree, and then we had volunteers to help load and carry and things like that. So you would really just be overseeing that area of the event for the day. You'd have to coordinate your volunteers, you would have to do pre-work to get the, however you want to do it, but to have a system set in place where it's organized for people to come up and get their trees. I think we just did like a Google
Google form.
form last year, and just Skylar put it out for us on social media, and people signed up that way. And we would send
I
an
mean, I can
email
definitely
out.
help with like tagging and setting things up early.
Yeah.
I'm usually good at like running the info table, but
No, you're, wonderful.
but I can help with that too. If somebody can run the actual setup, or the actual giveaway, I can help set it all up and tag everything and label everything too.
Yeah.
What day are we doing Arbor Day again?
November 2nd, first Saturday, yeah. Do you, are you saying yes, you
Yeah.
want to do trees? Okay,
I'll do it.
okay, thank you. So Sam will help with trees.
So get with me if you need help with
Yeah.
setting that up.
I will, cause I will, yeah.
Sam and Josh, got you. And
And
then
I'll
we just
be
need to
reaching
get, we can probably even
Use
just use.
Skylar about that, Google form.
Yeah, we can get that done.
And it was, we put in like, here's the tree species, so information about the trees were on there so people could make a good educated decision. I think we had a couple of images.
How many trees do they give away per person? 1, 2?
We're gonna have,
Depends on
Per household.
We did
the,
one per household, I believe.
yeah, we're gonna have a total of what?
We'll have 100 trees.
Okay,
We
right,
really wanted to get more trees, but the cost has gone up.
yeah,
So, but
one
that's okay, we'll still have
per
100 trees.
household is pretty good.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
bare root seedling, it's easier because they're super cheap and you can give one to everybody because we have hundreds and hundreds, but with potted trees, yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
Were you gonna say something? No, I thought I said.
I think Sam was about to say something.
No, I was gonna say-
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, the photo contest is always fun. Let's talk about that. Do we want to continue with what we've done as far as a digital photo contest?
as opposed to, I feel like the way you, worded that, there was another.
We used to do, so pre-COVID, there was a tree art contest where we could get into schools and kids submit. It's a lot of work. We did awards, we did galleries. I cannot take that on.
Digital.
The digital one sounds great.
Yeah.
And the other part is it's so hot. At first we were like fall, changing colors, and
Yeah.
then so not last year,
I like
but the
the-
previous years we kept having to extend the date. Last
Yeah,
year
I
we
currently don't wanna be outside.
I like the
Digital sounds
trees of distinction that we did last year. I think that was a good theme, something like that. It's like a tree that represents
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Conway to you,
Yeah.
Something like that, or to the photographer.
Yeah.
Or an iconic tree, or something like that, back when the fiddler's tree was still there, if you've got a good picture of that with a courthouse in the background, that would be a fantastic photo.
Yeah. And we got interesting, we even got like new little sapling root and then
Oh, we got some really cool
black and
stuff.
white tree that's
Yeah.
hanging off. So are y'all, and a lot of that will probably fall on you, Skylar. So I guess I'm asking you specifically if you want
We'll do the
to
digital one again.
do our
Yeah.
marketing.
We made a lot of changes last year on the tree photo contest. Do you think those are all positives now that we've seen the feedback and how much interaction we got? Feel
Good.
pretty good about it?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
So we still wanna do like a youth category, adult category, and community choice category? Or not just community choice, but like the judges choose the other two, right? Yeah, never mind.
Well, no, I think we did have a community choice
We
last
did,
year,
but I
and
mean,
that
like,
did go
we had
really
a
well.
youth category that
Yeah.
were, and an adult category that were
Yeah.
chosen by the
The
artists we
judges.
act and the judges, but
Yeah.
then like community choice for the third one. I think that's great.
Yeah.
They were still up at the library
They are.
the other
I know,
day,
it'll be
last time I
time-
looked.
It'll be time to rotate them out
Yeah.
actually, because they'll be there. Yeah, they've left them off all year for us.
I'm surprised, cause they said, they committed to 6 months and they've just left them up all year, which I love.
Yeah, great. So, okay.
And they'll probably even put them up somewhere if we ask them to, and when we put the new ones in, but
Yeah.
we'll see. Or give them to the museum, something like that.
Well, I think we talked about giving them back to
Oh, the people
when
who took
the
them,
year's
yeah.
up. So, we'll contact them and make sure they get those back. So Skylar, are you good for helping to support the photo contest again this year? You good to go with that? Okay.
I'm happy to help if you need any.
Just
Okay.
need emails to the judges. We should be good.
Okay. judges, that reminds me, and we'll need to pick judges. Let's see, so the next thing, so food, y'all wanna continue to do the grilling and the popcorn? Do we want to keep doing that? I love that we can give free food to the
I can
community.
hit up for security again for hot dogs and whatever else.
Do you mind
they
reaching
want.
out
Yeah,
to
that's
him?
great.
Okay, thank you.
I'll have to go ask them again, like who the right person is, but that's not a problem. I'll just walk into the one over there where I live and like, hey.
Mhm.
I only have that for you, Josh.
I don't know if that changed, if it's still the same job. But okay, so Josh, you'll still help with food?
Yep.
Okay. And then I know we'll reach out to all the volunteers, and Krista's not here, but she already said, same folks coming, extension, master gardeners, beekeepers. If there's anything else that y'all can think of in terms of partnerships or people we might wanna not partnerships, but come exhibitors,
We could ask the, what's it called? The urban gardening group that's involved with the library, if they might wanna be interested in that too, I could ask them.
yeah, that'd be great, cause there is a new,
It's a new
overseer
gardener.
for the gardener.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sean, I think is his name, Shane or Sean, I believe is his name.
Sean.
Yeah, so that would be great. What else? I'm pretty sure I can get us popcorn in the machine again, so we should be able to get that taken care of. And I'll look at supplies, I'll probably have to order a little bit, for that this year. What else for Arbor Day? Of course, we would love somebody to come do proclamation for us this year. See if we can get somebody else to come back from the city for that.
You need to find somebody.
Yes, please.
Do you want Shelley again, or do you want me to get somebody different?
That's great.
I'll
If
see.
she would like to come.
I'll see. I'm for the mayor.
Make the mayor do
Gonna
it.
be hunting.
It's always the same
It's youth hunt week.
Yeah,
That's why we don't get it. But priorities, that's family, it's tradition, I get it.
I'll get us.
It would be nice if somebody who is in town would like to do that too, would be great.
We'll get
So,
somebody.
Okay.
I'll get somebody out there.
perfect, thank you. And we'll submit for proclamation. This year I did wanna ask, cause we have all those Tree City flags. So, we literally have like, how many, 18, we got 18 of them, cause we've been there for 18 years. But it would be nice, like the week before, if we could get some Tree City USA flags flying around, would that be?
I'll have to check again. I've asked the first time, and there's laws regarding city parks and flags that can be flown, and
Okay,
so I'll follow.
alright. If we could even get one at Laurel Park where we're gonna have it. We did reserve Laurel. I think we already did that. Will you double check and make sure we're
Yeah, I can.
reserved?
Well, I
I'm pretty sure we did that already, but now I'm just kinda drawing a blank.
Better double check now.
Yeah, please.
It's one of those things where it's like we haven't done this in a while. It's like I can't remember what all.
I feel so rusty today, I'm sorry.
We're usually pretty proactive, so like as soon as we get out, I usually do whatever we talked about. so.
Yeah, I feel sure that we did, but yeah, if we could just make sure we've got use of the pavilion again by the splash pad and the part, that part of the park would be great.
Alright, we're down to about 15 minutes.
Yes, okay, what else? Arbor Day kind of pretty
Boy
much.
Scouts, Girl Scouts, do we need to contact them for anything?
Do y'all want to do the presentation of colors and the pledge and all that, and we did not have, well, we did have that last year. And we'll request I will reach out to see which scout group needs to do a tree planting, we will do a tree planting.
Yeah.
I'll reach out to,
I work with one woman who has a kid in one of the scout groups. I can see if they have any interest.
you wanna add, okay.
I can have her ask their scout leader.
Scoutmaster.
Master.
I can get with,
Man, it's been a long time since I was in Boy Scouts and I
No,
still remember that
I was
one.
never in Boy Scouts.
Okay, yeah, well, you know.
For us, okay.
I was brought up Mormon, and the Mormons have a real close tie to the Boy Scouts, so we also did Boy Scouts.
And they usually have, a lot of their fall retreats are that weekend too. That
Yeah,
was
they
what
might-
the
you're
issue was
right.
last time.
Yeah.
But we had Girl Scouts
We had Girl
did it
Scouts last
instead of
time.
the
Yeah.
Scout, Boy
I don't know any
Scout,
Girl
Scouts.
Scouts.
Whoever we can get
Yeah,
that wants to do
I'll
it.
check with her
Okay.
first, and then you can figure out
Perfect.
who else
Alright.
after she says no.
okay, we'll do that. Let's see, what else? Moving on down. So just to update y'all, so anything else about Arbor Day, if y'all will just please work over the next
I
week or
can't think of
two, and let's
anything.
try to get some answers by the time, well, we'll just have to do some email
Let's say,
communication.
do we need to set up a meeting for a committee meeting for Arbor Day?
It
Or
would
do we
be-
wanna just do email for now and then pick a date later?
Well, I think we can email because it's all discovery, we already talked about it, so we can do email communication about that and planning, but if we find, I would think maybe in like September, we're gonna wanna maybe have some committee meetings, maybe, and do some preparation for it, but everything else right now will be digital, we could go ahead and set up some forms for a tree request
Yeah.
and, all those things, so I'm not sure we'll have to have that in August, but September, yes. Okay. Anything else on Arbor Day right now? And Conway Corp, I don't know if they wanna have a booth or giveaways, or, y'all are our sponsoring, presenting sponsor,
To ask.
yes. And then, I think we said it kind of off camera, but just to repeat, so for brick installation and the Laurel Park,
Yeah, so I did ask about that today, and they're looking at December at the latest,
okay,
being done with all the
Oh,
hard work.
great.
Yeah.
Man, if they could have it done by Arbor Day, that'd be great.
I know.
That's wishful thinking again.
But if by chance we get an update like in October and we can get with Spencer and then the physical plant, it would be wonderful to have the installation done and a tree planting, so that would be ideal, but we have to work with weather and
Yeah.
timelines and all that, and there's a lot going on over there right now between the roundabout and the park, so, but that's good. Is there any other updates or anything, Logan, that you
That
wanted
was the only one I
to
had.
share? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, so just quickly, one more thing, so, and I'm hopping on down, so Yoga Under the Trees, June 20th, over at Gatling Park was very successful. That was really enjoyable, we had a good turnout for that. Tamara Wells did a great job facilitating that session for us. But going back to our May 23rd event, with Go Inside Yoga, we did have to cancel that, so let me ask y'all a question is, would we like to try to host, because we've already voted and we have that still in our budget, do we want to try to do a Yoga Under the Trees closer to fall but not quite at Arbor Day and keep it out at Cadron Settlement? Or would we like to layer that in as part of our Arbor Day and we could do a
Ooh.
morning yoga, or
I kinda
see
like
if there's
putting it with
interest to
Arbor
bring
Day.
that to Arbor Day?
I kinda like putting it with Arbor Day, honestly.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Add another small event, that's not, and it would draw people in who may otherwise not be interested in coming to the event.
Especially because your vendors and everybody will be setting up while that's going on.
Oh, yeah.
So it gives people a reason to already be there.
Okay, all right, so we'll do that, so I will reach out, so the one, that we had to cancel was with, Johanna Epps, and so at Go Inside Yoga, so I'll see if
Yep.
she has time to do that with us,
That
y'all.
would be great.
Do we need to
So
vote to
what-
change that, or can we?
Time would the yoga event be versus the time of the Arbor Day event?
It would be part of the Arbor Day event, or would we do it earlier, like before?
It's up to y'all, I mean, whenever, we could do a 9 to 10, I would prefer not to do it we can do it while we're setting up, or we could do, get set up and then that session's going on like at 10 o'clock, or we could do an earlier morning, like sun salute to the trees, or, sun salutations, there's all different kinds of things that you can do, so.
What time does Arbor Day festival
We
start?
did
Ask what we
11 to 1 last year,
Like, what did we vote in?
or 11 to 2 last year. I think we went with a 3 hour.
3 hours?
I think we went with a 3-hour event.
So I would say it needs to probably happen on the front end of it.
Early
It's just a
up,
matter
yeah.
of, do we wanna do it the hour setup, or do we want to start the festival and then, have it going on? But there's really a lot kind of packed into those 3 hours.
Yeah.
It seemed like it went by pretty quickly, and between the tree planting and a little bit of the ceremony and the entertainment, and the people had to peruse, it went pretty fast, so.
So, I'm sorry, what time?
Let me go back
Oh,
and
okay.
see. I can't remember what we voted in, I'm sorry.
I know, I'm like trying to look over the
I wanna
maybe
say we did like
minutes.
11 to 2 or 10 to 1. So like maybe, yeah. Either
The
the,
reason I'm asking
No, you're right.
is like I personally would not want to do a yoga event during a public thing. Right?
I can see
And
that.
so like I could understand people feeling more comfortable if yoga was
maybe started a half hour before the big event kicked off, or
We did 11
Even
to
in a-
1 last year.
It was 11 to 1, so maybe we could do,
we voted on it before, we just
Oh, I
don't
know.
remember what we said.
we need to go back and look
But-
at the minutes.
Whenever it was, if it say started at 11, would it be feasible for us to have the
Well,
yogi start at say
We
10?
don't necessarily.
Because we don't need to necessarily be doing the yoga
Yeah.
event while
Thank you,
we're
that's what I was
going, we're needing to be setting up, and so it would bring people in by the time their yoga stops. Hey, our
Yeah,
next
that's
event
true.
has begun, but hey, you're not doing downward dog in front of 50 strangers.
That's the only way I'll do it though.
Well, and we can
Well,
also,
I mean,
well, and we
I'm
can also
not,
put
I'm not here to
yoga-
shame that.
we can put
I'm not
yoga-
here to shame that. Like,
you know,
you do you.
We're gonna
But
be set up on the south
South
end of the park, and we could do it like further north, up near the tennis courts or up near the Grove,
that's true.
or over by the other pavilion.
Yeah.
So it's not directly in the way of the event either, so.
So I will follow up with if we decided on a time and exactly what that was, because I'm not doing really good with working two things today, nor ever. But we are agreed that we would like to move the location from Cadron Settlement to Arbor Day, and
Yes.
also we would like it to be the hour preceding the event,
Yes.
Yes.
correct? Okay. Do we have to vote on that?
Motion.
Motion?
Second.
Cool.
Approved.
Alright.
It's getting so good at
All
this.
opposed, yeah, none, we're good. So,
We're getting
what's that?
stuff done. It's sloppy, but it's happening.
Hey, look, we're following the rules,
Okay. All right.
even if we don't have to.
So there's that, and I did just share with y'all, so quickly, for the Interfaith Power and Light, we got the $2,000
Yes.
fruit tree grant. Woo! Yay, which is awesome, and we did go out and meet with Andrew, and Sean Roussel from Interfaith Power and Light, and did get some feedback from Mary, the overseer of the gardener, about the concerns. And so, looking at that, I gave y'all actually, hold on.
We got the
Here are my
budget,
notes.
we got the outline.
1,500.
So there's that, that is not exactly,
Well, that's
what
gonna
we're looking
include,
for, right? I don't think we need 14 fig trees, 14 mulberries,
Oh, no.
14 fruit, we do not, nor would Parks want us to put all of those fruiting trees on their property. So, we're gonna go back and look at this quote. So we will spend $1,500 is what we requested for trees, so that we have $500 and any ancillary needs, right? So if we need water bags, trunk guards, gloves, like
well, if we're doing
anything else that
Blackberry,
we
we talked
need.
about having to build trellises
Trellises.
and, yeah, stuff like
Yeah.
that.
And so we did come to an agreement between all of these kind of powers that be, that these species are good selections for the property, the location, and the maintenance of it. Because although we may not be here as individuals, the tree board will own the responsibility of
It's
helping with
signage too.
maintenance,
Yeah.
harvesting. So I did share with y'all some of our meeting notes too. So basically the intent is to satisfy that grant, it has to be to help feed people, offering free education. And so with the selections that we gave, we think it's something that, Andrew's in agreement that they can maintain that for us. Those are good educational type species too, right? So extension office could come in and talk about blackberries and harvesting and how to grow, all of that. We do, so back to looking at these 3-gallon trees, and I think that's from all of the quotes, there's just some confusion. So we're gonna wanna get some larger trees and smaller trees so we can harvest some a little bit sooner than others. Also, it's good for us to kind of test in terms of plantability and that mortality rate. Not always the smaller trees are the best option. Sometimes it's the bigger trees, you know, so that would help with a little bit of that. We did request also elderberry, serviceberry. They are not available through this particular vendor, but I would like to go back and see if we can find that. So,
Yeah.
Let's see, the other part, to address some of the concerns that the overseers of the garden have is they have pilferage, people come and take their harvest, right? So we need to be very specific with our plantings and keep it a little bit away from the garden. It's like, this is free foraging food. This
Separate
area is a
from
community garden.
private, yeah, okay.
And
So
so
one
we're
of the things-
surprised, go ahead.
Would be signage that we
Signage.
have to pay for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so our commitment to help protect that for them would be that we would help provide some signage to that effect and give some instruction and direction. We even talked about, when it's harvest season, do we have some signs that we could go and stake and put out, in the free foraging area that would say, harvest season, free foraging, and then work with Extension Office to do some education and invitations through them as well.
And in between the free forage area and their community garden, maybe even have a sign that says, stop, no
Yeah.
more free foraging,
Yeah.
like you're no longer in that area.
I would almost be more favorable to moving that to another park than to prevent that from happening.
Yeah.
Especially if we could put it in one that is a disadvantaged area.
It has to be in a low income
So, we
area.
did, so there is a little bit of a food desert in that area and there is a need and we did discuss that and that's something we can look at. My concern is like Fifth Avenue Park was a suggestion that came up and would be wonderful in terms of the need over there. We don't have irrigation set up to support that. And for as much as parks helps us with all of that, the good part about McGee is because it is that floodplain, so there's a lot of watering that happens naturally there. So I'm not opposed to that, nor was Charmel for Innovative Power and Light. My concern is irrigation and maintenance, like we put in some of those trees over there and like they're dead within
Yeah.
the season, and that is
The
disheartening.
city would have to be willing, or parks would have to be willing to do
And there's
irrigation or
Right.
watering.
the manager for that community garden has agreed to help with the maintenance of these, no? Okay.
Nope,
Okay.
it's all on us.
It is the tree boards and parks, we have an agreement with parks. I mean, they've been
Yeah.
really good to give us use of that land already. And so, we really wanna protect that relationship. But as far as the community garden, that will be a completely separate.
Yeah.
They're not going to participate in
I wonder if there might be a possibility to do it over close to the aquatic center.
on that SWAT on the actual property by the community center. I don't know.
Doubtful.
But Fifth Avenue.
Just curious.
Well, and Fifth Avenue Park did come up. I mean, there is definitely
It would be
a need
perfect
over there.
location.
There's a ton of green space over there.
Yeah.
I know that there's a area out behind, it is on Hendricks campus. It is a decently large grassy area that they are currently trying to make into a open access, free to the public, anyone can come and go, community food area anyways.
Interfaith Power and Light's already working with them on that one.
Wonderful,
So we don't wanna
that's
double dip on
awesome,
that.
okay.
Yeah.
It's the same person, who's funding. So I didn't mean to shut down the Fifth Avenue Park. I mean, I
What
can go
about-
back and look at that. The concern is irrigation and how we'll maintain that. But if y'all want me to, because we do have 2 years to complete this, so this doesn't have to be done within this 12-month cycle. I'm just
What
trying.
about Conway Station Park? There's a lot of irrigation there already for the ballparks. There's a decent amount of open land, but I don't know if that's already, like, parks won't let us use that or not. And it's also an area that's fairly low income, so.
When we did plant those, 13 trees, I don't know how many are
Yeah,
left, but the trees that are around that pond, we
Yeah.
already went in, and did that, so I don't know.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to derail.
No, I mean, those are, because it did come up even at the
Yeah.
meeting, we were like, well, is this even the right location? Because there are so many concerns about the conflict between the community garden and.
Yeah,
I just
that was
saw
a
that as
big,
potential.
that was a big thing.
Yeah, and so I think to satisfy that concern was we'll help support signage and direction, and then also we're gonna keep them further away and put it onto the land more where we've already put those 200 trees. So then eventually we'll have hopefully a larger, like a food forest area,
Yeah.
But I can go back and talk with Andrew, and Krista about the potential. So we wanna table this and come back, I can come back with some
We do have
different
a couple of
information in
years.
September.
Kind of tagging along with what he just brought up and what y'all have been discussing, would it be possible to essentially however many trees and species we get,
split it in thirds and do different areas, and so we have a lower density at each location.
Potential.
That's a thought.
I know that can be problematic with certain fruit trees where you have to have males and females and so much proximity, you know. But that could even also make it a little easier adjacent to the community garden if we have a smaller
Further away.
area that's further away and then more different areas that are being helped by all of this. I'm also blown away that you can buy thornless blackberries.
Yes, I had
News.
no
I'm
idea
very
that was a thing.
excited.
I've got blackberries in my backyard that just grow like wild, and they've got thorns.
Alright, so we're gonna call time here, but what I will
Yeah.
do between now and September, and I'll probably email y'all in between, is find out what is the possibility of going into Fifth Avenue? Can we split between the two? Okay, potentially, so I'll come back, so those are all good
Or
questions.
Conway Station too, if that's an option.
Oh, sorry, thank
Yeah.
you. Is it College Station?
Conway Station.
Dang it, I
We
was-
have
I'm not
City
saying-
Colleges and then Conway Station.
Yeah, City College is the one up north, and Conway Station is the old fairgrounds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then I'll fix all my acronyms, cause CJust and yada blah blah, get that right. Okay,
Good.
we need no committee meetings this month, so we're good to go, and I think we're good to adjourn. Make the
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Excellent, thank
All
y'all so
opposed?
much.